Hey there! If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who's just curious about the topic, I'm going to tell you the difference between a startup and a small business. By the end of this video, you're going to know three things. What is the meaning of both the terms? What is the difference between the two? And which one is the right fit for you? Also, can you use them interchangeably? Oh wait, that's 4 points. So let's start off with the meaning of both the terms. First, a startup. Person X wakes up one day and has a brilliant idea for a new product or service that is currently missing in the market or is so primitive that the scope for growth is tremendous. He calls a few like-minded people from his friend circle or college or even his previous employment and shares his vision with them. Now they form their small little team with each member bringing in a distinct skill set. They begin work, initially self-funded, hoping to get some funding through investors later. They see a huge growth potential in the near future. They are free from constraints that exist in a big, rigidly structured corporation. They make great use of tech and their product or service is unique in more than one way. Their goal is to make a splash in the market or create a new market altogether, earn good profits, and sustain themselves long enough to grow as a company. Person X, along with his new teammates, is in a sense starting a startup. Now let's look at a small business. Now suppose another person Y, wakes up with an itch for business. He does a little self-assessment and finds his area of expertise and passion. It could be teaching, cooking, designing, carpentry. Did I say carpentry? I meant carpentry. He knows these fields already have many players. He knows that he could join someone else's business as an employee, but he wants to start something on his own. He doesn't need huge funding. For the most part, initially, he is self-funded comfortably. He doesn't necessarily need a team, intense tech, or huge capital. His goal is not to make a splash in the market, but rather to carve a space for himself in a market that already exists. His goal is not to make huge profits in the future, but rather to make small profits from day one and sustain his business. So, person Y is getting ready to start his own small business. Now that you have a better understanding of both the terms, let's look at some of the differences between the two. A startup founder's intention is to disrupt a market or take over a market completely with his unique business model. Now, the small business owners, they aren't trying to take over a market, but rather trying to find a market in which they can sustain and grow in. Now, when it comes to profits, startup founders may not necessarily see profits immediately. Some may not see it for a few years, and unfortunately, some may not see it at all. But if it hits the right spot, a startup can definitely earn huge sums. As for a small business, you can start seeing small profits right from the first day or the first week. The amounts are not usually very high and it can take time to scale it up. The possibility of scalability and market capitalization is massive when you have a startup. That's why you see a lot of startups in the tech field or online, as they can reach huge markets quickly. But with a small business, that is not the case. But their aim is to serve everyone in their market efficiently. Now when it comes to the funding part of it, startups usually look for major investment right off the bat, usually through investors, and they offer them equity in the company. This diversifies the ownership. But small businesses are usually self-funded or look at banks for loans. They have to pay an interest, but the ownership remains intact. And if you try to look at the differences when it comes to long-term visions for these two, the end goal or vision for a startup is to become a big company or get bought out by a large corporation. Basically, not die out. But for a small business, the end goal is simply to stay in business. A self-sustaining, long-lasting, happy business. Now you may be wondering, which one is the best fit for you? Firstly, why is it necessary to know which direction to go in, whether you start a startup or a small business? Well, it can help you figure out what kind of a mindset you require, whether your product or service is a market disruptor or a good player, the funding that you're going to need, and it can also help you figure out your vision for the future. However, I'm a strong believer in doing. So if you're having a hard time figuring out which definition is the right one for you, and that is stopping you from actually starting your journey, it is not worth it. You'll figure out which one is the right definition for you along the way. It is okay to use the two terms interchangeably in the beginning, and it's not as if a lot of people know the difference. Send them to this video. Remember, anything that hampers your energy and motivation and happiness right when you're about to start something should be kept at bay, at least initially. Keeping in mind the legal and moral limitations, of course. Hey, are you still with me? Good. Hope you can distinguish the terms a little better now, and I hope you have a better understanding of them than before you started watching this video, I would say. I have many more videos coming up about being a small business owner, starting your business, starting your startup, and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So stay tuned, keep coming back. I would love that. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, maybe leave a comment or write down your dream goal for the next year and try to achieve it when it comes to this topic. But till then, take a leap of faith. It's going to be worth it. Bye.